All right, welcome back to SportsLine, everybody. While we were away, there is some breaking news from the NFL. I'm looking to call it up here on my phone, but I can tell you that the Buffalo Bills have hired the first full-time female assistant coach. I know our buddy Philip in Nashville loves that story. Catherine Smith is the special teams quality control coach. He just was hired. Breaking news just came down just a couple of minutes ago. So the NFL, the Bills become the first NFL team to hire a female assistant coach full-time. You may recall the Arizona Cardinals had Jen Welter, a very good friend of mine, a longtime women's professional football player who's been on the show before. They had her in training camp as an assistant linebackers coach. She did not get hired full-time, but Catherine Smith with the Buffalo Bills, the first female assistant coach full-time in the NFL. She becomes their special teams quality control coach. So the NFL making big strides when it comes to gender relations. And so this is a landmark day, a landmark moment for the National Football League. So Catherine Smith with the Buffalo Bills. Jen Welter, of course, worked with the Arizona Cardinals during the training camp, working with the linebackers. And we may attempt to get Jen Welter on the phone here. She's a good friend of mine. We'll get some feelers out to her to see if she can join us and talk about what this could mean. We're not promising that. We haven't spoken in a while, but I'm going to shoot her a text and see if she wouldn't mind coming on to talk about really an historic day in the National Football League. In case you're just joining us, breaking news out of Buffalo: the Bills hire Catherine Smith to be their special teams quality control coach. She becomes the first full-time female assistant coach in the history of the NFL. So big news there. All right, back to the Titans. Of course, on Monday was introduction day. John Robinson, the new general manager, spent time with the New England Patriots and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And, of course, Mike Mularkey has had the interim tag officially removed from his name. He will be the head coach. We're going to start, I know last night we did run the press conference in its entirety. In case you missed any of it, we're going to show you some of the highlights of Monday's press conference. Here is Titans President and CEO Steve Underwood on John Robinson, the new GM.
John Robinson is the product of the most extensive search for a general manager in our club's history. We are so impressed with John's experience, his vision, and his focus on restoring our franchise to greatness. We are persuaded fully that he will work with our staff and our coaches to restore our franchise on and off the field. Amy believes that his talents and attitude are just what we need for our club at this moment in time.
All right, there you have it. Titans President and CEO Steve Underwood on the hiring of John Robinson as the new head coach. Underwood went on to talk about Mike Mularkey and the decision to keep him on and make him the full-time head coach. You may recall the Titans interviewed a total of 4 candidates, including Mularkey, Ray Horton, who were already in-house. Doug Marrone and Terrell Austin were the other 2 candidates. Here's Steve Underwood on why the decision was made to hang on to Mike Mularkey.
We were never turned down by anyone that we asked to interview for. We did get one turned down with an explanation from one of the GM candidates, but I think he turns down most everyone. No, we had many agents and representatives ask to interview. Amy had listened to interviews with candidates for head coach over several days. We added one candidate at the last minute. Somewhere during that process, I think it coalesced for Amy, and she had made a decision. She already knew Mike. She had a comfort level with Mike. But she wanted to reach out and look around to make sure that there was not any other viable candidates for her in terms of our club and where we were going. John was also in all of those interviews, and I think all of us agreed several interviews into the process that we had found the right person to lead our club forward. Incidentally, the list that you mentioned was an aggregation of virtually everyone in the league who might be available. We narrowed that list. I think I may have also mentioned this during the first press conference, to a group much smaller than that as we sort of move forward in the process. But that I don't think I ever suggested we were going to interview 155 people.
Suggested you're going to interview more than 2 from outside?
I don't remember making that suggestion, but we interviewed 4 total candidates and had conversations, of course, about many others.
Okay, Steve Underwood talking about the entire coaching search. The number 155 was brought out there. Obviously, the Titans probably weren't planning on interviewing 155 candidates. Came down to 4, and Mike Mularkey is the guy. We're going to go back to the phones and check in with Rosemary on line 1. Good evening, Rosemary.
Good evening.
How are you?
I would like to say I'm glad they kept Mike Mularkey.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not. I follow football, but I'm not an avid Titans fan. But I've been watching him, and he does a good job. And all the stuff that's wrong with the team, no matter what team it is not all the coach's fault.
No, you're absolutely right. I mean, it comes down to a culture. It comes down to the collection of talent that you have to work with. So there are a lot of factors. And look, we all know this, Rosemary. I know you say you're not an avid football follower, but I think you know enough to know that coaches get too much credit when the team wins, and they get too much blame when the team loses, and that's just the nature of the business.
Yeah, I'm a Steelers fan,
Mm-hmm.
but I watch other teams, and I watched him with that team, and he really has a good heart. But some of them players need to look at their own self and say, do I want to play for him 100% or not?
Well, the good thing about it is, I mean, a lot of players were spoken to both on and off the record, and we couldn't find one player that currently on the roster that said they didn't, A, like Mike Mularkey, or B, not want to play for them. So I think that's a good sign. And I think now that he's the full-time coach and the players know this, there can be a feeling of maybe not comfort, but certainly a knowledge of, okay, this is going to be our guy. Most of what we did towards the end of last year isn't going to change. We just have to tweak some things and get better.
Yeah, I hope they do, because I watch the coaches on about every team, and I watch how they do it and they treat their teams, and he seems like a really good person, and I'm glad that they kept him, because he really didn't have a chance coming in with that. He didn't really have a chance, so I'm glad they gave him a chance.
Rosemary, thank you for the call. Have a wonderful evening. And, yeah, I mean, I happen to agree. I think Mularkey deserves a chance. He deserves an off season to implement his style, his system, develop a culture, put his own staff together. Obviously, a big plus is keeping Dick LeBeau around. That's certainly going to help matters. Titans finished just outside of the top 10 in total defense last season. For a 3-win team, that's pretty significant. All right, back to Monday's press conference. John Robinson, of course, a native of Union City, Tennessee, says he's happy to be home and he's looking forward to this opportunity to be the new general manager of the Tennessee Titans.
Our goal here is to win. Bottom line. That's a measuring stick that all franchises are measured by. Mike and I have an aligned vision of what we want this team to look like. We want tough players. We want coachable players. We want smart players. And most importantly, we want players with a team-first attitude. My role here is to ensure that we find those players. I will coach the personnel staff on the type of players that we want and identify the guys that are true fits of what we're looking for in a Titan. Thank you.
There you have it. John Robinson, the new general manager of the Tennessee Titans, a very determined and focused John Robinson at Monday's press conference. Meanwhile, as we've been saying since the show began, Mike Mularkey, of course, has the interim tag removed from his title. He's now the full-time head coach. And there's been a lot of questions as to why and what Mularkey can do. But as you're about to hear, Mularkey is very confident that he will succeed.
I'm very confident in myself. And and I will be confident in the guys that I'm hiring. I'm going through that process right now. I'm a good football coach, and circumstances they dictate a lot of success for people, and they also dictate sometimes failure. And you can't base it all on one thing. There's been a number of coaches that have been in a position that I've been in that have had a chance to come back, have another opportunity, and be successful. And I've always felt that way. Again, based on circumstances that will allow me to have success. I'm going to surround myself with people that have the same feelings that I do, the same beliefs, same coaching style, and these guys know what they're getting. The players know. They've saw me for 9 weeks. They know what they're getting. This organization knows what they're getting. It's not like starting brand new. I know what changes need to be made, and unfortunately, I get a chance to change them.
All right, Mike Mularkey speaking during Monday's press conference. A very confident Mike Mularkey basically says he's the right man for the job. Time will certainly tell. Time now for our second break. We're going to come back and switch gears and talk a little hockey. What is wrong with our Nashville Predators? Are they in danger of not making the playoffs? We'll ask NashvillePredators.com's Thomas Willis on the other side. Stay with us.